It's time to start a new tuning project. Stick around. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to, well, I guess the XLR, because we're not in the garage today. In fact, we are driving the XLR through West Virginia right now to trade it in on the next tuning project. But I'm not going to tell you what it is just quite yet. I will in this video, so make sure and stick around until the reveal, and we will talk more about it there. But real quick, I want to talk to you about the XLR. It's been a great car. Love this car. It does not get enough credit. It's one of the best looking cars GM ever made, in my opinion. But I also still think that the C6 Corvette's one of the best looking cars that GM's ever made. And it's basically just a, you know, prettied up C6. In fact, to the point where even the interior on this isn't quite as crappy as the C6. I don't know how many of you guys have sat in a C6, but they just literally have that mid-2000s Chevy, late 90s even Chevy interior that's just gross. It's just pitiful. Like, they could have done better, but nonetheless, the other thing about this car is the Northstar platform. It's really underrated. It is a V8 with dual overhead cams and, you know, doing variable valve timing before the modular Fords were. Like, this motor has very great power delivery. It only makes about 340, I say only makes 340 horsepower. Come on, guys. Back in the mid-2000s, that was still a lot of horsepower. You're talking about the Corvette itself was only making 400 at that point in time. So this was making 340. And the power delivery is completely different because of the engine layout. It just, the way that it comes into power with the cams is it's a very smooth, constant power delivery as opposed to an abrupt ton of torque that kind of flattens out. This thing almost feels like it's boosted. It feels like VTEC. But gonna miss this car. It's been very interesting tinkering around with this car, probably being the only Northstar ever on a Holley Terminator. So just all around a fun car for the garage, but we couldn't get into doing as much tuning content on it as I wanted, and so now we're going to pick up a platform in which we're going to do a lot of tuning content on. So I'm going to do a reveal, and then I'm going to jump into the other car, and we're going to talk about it. Let's do that now. Okay, before we open the garage up and we see what the new project car is, I want you guys to go ahead, go down in the comments down below, give me your guesses. I'd like to see if anybody gets this thing right. I mean, we're getting ready to pro charge Justin's Challenger, so no reason to get a Mopar. And you guys know me well enough that I would never get anything with a blue oval on it, right? So who knows, maybe some kind of import, a Mercedes or an Audi, something out of Japan. What are your guesses? Throw them down there right now, and let's do the reveal. See, I told you it wasn't a Ford. It's a Shelby. So we got a 2016 Shelby GT350 with the Voodoo 5.2 flat plane crank. And honestly, I'm in love with this car. It is amazing in every single way. And in fact, I'm gonna jump over to the drive back from picking this thing up where I talked a little bit more about driving it. Let's check that out now. Okay, all kidding aside, this is our new project car. Now, yeah, I broke down. And I'll be honest with you, from the get-go, this was the first car that I looked at a couple months ago whenever I was considering what we were going to do in 2021. As I said, we've got Justin's Challenger to pro charge. We're going to do some Mustang tuning because I want to learn Mustang tuning. I want to get into it. I want to share even more tuning information. This whole channel's been predicated from the get-go on making this information available for more people so they can learn how to tune their own vehicles, branch out and gain knowledge on tuning other platforms, And so what better way to do it than to approach a platform that I am unfamiliar with, and we can kind of learn together and dive into it. So I'm expecting a lot of you guys that have Mustang experience to help me out, fill in some of the blanks, tell me your tips and tricks when it comes to tuning Mustangs, what you've learned. You know, I am by no means, as I've always said, the expert at tuning. I'm not that guy. There's guys out there that'll sit there and tell you all day long, oh, I'm the expert, I'm a calibrator, stuff like that. So without further ado, this is our 2016 Shelby GT350 Voodoo 5.2 liter with a flat plane crank. Man, this thing is just, I absolutely love this platform. I love this motor. And right now I'm in love with this car. Granted, it's new. You know, new to me. It's 2016. It's only got 7,000 miles on it. You know, some little old lady drove it around for a couple years, put a couple thousand miles on it, and then traded it in. And I'm reaping the benefits of it because I have the closest thing to new that you can basically get, completely unmolested bone stock. As I said, GT350, it's got the track package on it, so it's got all the trick dampers and stuff like that. I'm going to have to read the manual on this. This is the most advanced car I've ever driven. It's got all kinds of buttons and gauges and stuff like that. Speaking of which, props to Ford. You can see the factory widebands on the dash. You can actually see the air-fuel ratio on your own dash without having to install another gauge. I love it. I love it. I wish more people would do that on their cars. You know, and there's a lot of benefits to this platform outside the fact that these things are just forged, bottom end. Everything's forged on it. As I said, you got that flat plane crank that revs up to 8,300 RPMs, which feels really weird, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of some of the silly stuff like the shift light that pops up on your windshield to let you know where to shift, and it's all customizable. I mean, this is quite an impressive car, but it's not a Ford, it's a Shelby. Keep that in mind. So, if you're excited because you're a Ford guy, you're excited because you're a GM guy, and you're excited to learn about Ford tuning, things like that, make sure to stick around, subscribe if you haven't already. All you Chevy guys, by all means, go down in the comments and throw all your hate at me. You know I don't care. I love cars. I love speed. At the end of the day, that's why we're all here, to have fun. I mean, I still got the Super Auto. I still got the Nova. This is technically the lowest horsepower car in the Goat Road garage right now, if you don't count the wife's Jeep. So we're going to change that. Let me know down below what we should do. I mean, we're going to do forced induction, right? But what should we do? Supercharger? Roots? Centrifugal? Twin turbo? I don't know. You guys tell me what you'd like to see. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning.